Alright, welcome folks. This is, as always, Sheepdog Smokey. I will be posting this as soon as I am done editing and compiling because there are several things I'm going to talk about, several things I want to show, well, a couple things. The first one is the image you're looking at. This is going around Twitter, and I want to start off by saying the Constitution does not allow for global martial law. The possibility of global martial law is so infinitesimal as to be unattainable. It would literally require every single nation on the planet to agree to this. All of those world leaders would have to go into seclusion, into protection, at the exact same second. Meaning, if it's timed for noon, Greenwich time, well, that's 7 o'clock in the morning in the U.S. It's 8 o'clock at night in some places. It's just not feasible. It's also not feasible because you're never going to have even 50 to 75% of world leaders who would agree to something like this. It's just never going to happen. Now, it is also very unlikely just within the confines of the United States. Martial law is very difficult to declare and to maintain. But it's also something I want to talk about because of what this image is really talking about, and that are the tribunals and everything else happening during. The simple fact is, the military would not broadcast 24/7 for 7, 10, 14 days tribunals. They just wouldn't, for several reasons. The biggest of them being OPSEC, operational security. I've talked about this and I've mentioned this in the past. When you have something like what's been hinted at, the scale of it requires that every bit of groundwork be 100% done and foolproof before anything can happen. Once that's in place, everything happens at once. To put it in a little bit of perspective, think about a raid on a smuggler drug dealer's warehouse. If you have information that someone is selling stolen goods and selling drugs and they have a warehouse, but you have no way to prove it, you have to get that first. You have to hide that investigation from every possible person who might leak that back to the person trafficking stolen goods and drugs. All of their flunkies. You have to pick up all of the flunkies at the same time you pick up the head honcho. Imagine this is a 50-person operation in Los Angeles. You're going to need LAPD, LA County Sheriff, possibly Orange County Sheriff, possibly a third county sheriff, all the police departments around, possibly statewide or nationwide, depending on how far spread these people are. You have to time it to the second, meaning if it's happening at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday in LA, well, that's 4 hours difference in New York, or 5 hours difference, or 2 hours behind in Hawaii. If you have people who are international, you have to get Interpol and possibly Scotland Yard or anyone else involved. They have to coordinate. You have to have secure communication, which in today's day and age is both very easy and very difficult. So that when you give the order to go, every single one of those people is taken into custody quickly, quietly, at the exact same moment, so they can't warn anybody. One person jumps and goes 10 seconds early, and they happen to be entering a home with someone who's on the phone with someone else involved. That gives that person time to grab a weapon or to hide, or both. You don't want that. When you get to a scale like what a lot of people are hinting at, you won't hear anything. You won't see broadcast of the tribunals. You won't see anything until the news reports and the press releases that this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and that other thing happened, and all these other things happened. They're all done. All the trials have been held. All the sentences have been passed down and carried out. That way, by the time anyone knows what happened, there's no way that anyone could interfere in any possible way. Now, with what we've seen hinted at, and I'm not going to say whether it is likely, whether it is true, whether it is untrue. I'm just spitballing a scenario here. But with what we've seen hinted at, and who we've seen as being very highly involved, there's other people who are going to have to be kept very secure. And there's one thing that came out today that I do want to show you.
I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
That video was posted earlier today on President Trump's Twitter. And I'm not in any way an expert on videography. I know how to set up a scene for lighting, for focal distance, for shadowing, for those type of things, making sure that we don't have a gigantic yellow flower in the middle of the scene when it would just detract. That's as far as my ability goes. I have a tiny little camera that I use for videos. Not this one, I'm on my computer, but I don't do a lot. I am not a cinematographer. I didn't even take photography in high school. I grew up with photographers, so I know how to develop and print film and how to use a darkroom. What people are suggesting is that that was on a green screen. Other people are suggesting that is a body double. I'm not going to comment. Not going to say it. But what I will point out is what I've seen other people say about green screens. Now, unfortunately, mine doesn't work right now because Shotcut won't do it right, and iMovie gives me bad audio. But what you see with a green screen, depending on the quality, no matter how good they are, if it is truly a green screen, not rear projection, I'll talk about that in a minute, but if it's truly a green screen, no matter how good it is, you get blurring around the edges. I mean, it can be so good that it's so minimal you would have to watch it on an 80-inch television and be right up on the screen to see it, but it would still be there. Because in this lighting, my shirt, the OD, is in comparison to the green of what's behind me. When I then remove the green, adding in something else, the lighting doesn't change. My light currently, because you don't see the rings in my eyes, I'm not using that type of lighting, it is bouncing off of a wall, bouncing back onto a green screen. Taking the green out doesn't change how that screen reflects light onto my back. With regards to body double, I'm not going to comment whether or not it was, because I don't know. I know that if you're going to body double someone, you have to look almost identical to the point where, makeup and possibly minor prosthetics could make you look identical to the person. So they have to find someone same height, same weight, and that they can make look the same age. They have to be able to mimic the person's voice. They have to have the same hair, the same color eyes, everything. The lighting in that room, and I've not seen that angle of that room in a news shot or in a video for so long that I can't speak. But the lighting in that room did not look like it would be the lighting from the White House. It looked fluorescent. My light. And it looked like coming directly down. house has chandeliers. Chandeliers use many small bulbs. The light is directed out and up and then bounces off of walls and ceilings. It is a much softer light. There's also a lot of windows to allow a lot of natural light. The time at which this was posted would have been early morning, and it was not a stormy day in Washington. These are just my observations. But, again, spitballing a hypothetical scenario. If something was about to be put into motion, you wouldn't know. And they probably would use at least one, if not multiple body doubles. The Secret Service does not play. The Secret Service is second to none in planning. I'm not even going to try and figure out what they're doing. I'm giving you my thoughts on this. And my thoughts are, go about your day. Go to work. Go to school. Go shopping. Know your yard. Watch whatever television you watch. Watch YouTube. Read. Listen to music. Clean your house. Whatever it is. Understand that a lot of what we're seeing is deliberately misleading. That is a major component of operational security for any plan. Step 1, make the plan. Step 2, plan for it to utterly fail. Step 3, have as many scenarios of how to deal with that plan failing as possible. Step 4, create as many fake plans as you can and let those leak. You got everybody looking this way, you're going that way. It is a sound scenario. The Secret Service, from everything I know about them, are loyal to the Constitution and the office that they protect, not to any one person. The people that they have loyalties with and to are their fellow agents, because if their fellow agents have problems, they have problems. It doesn't matter who sits in the Oval Office. It doesn't matter who lives at the Naval Observatory. They are loyal to the office that they protect by their oath. And they are among the best of the best of the best. We're not going to know what's going on until it's all over. We're not going to know how anything was done until it's been over for a long time. It's just the way it is. I know if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen where I have given some opinions. Those are mine. Everyone has a right to their own opinion. It's very simple. It's my opinion. Getting back to something I did mention, if you want to look up how people are defeating the edge blurring of green screen, look up how The Mandalorian was shot. It was shot in a very immense circular soundstage where it's not a green screen. They're actually projecting the background behind the actors and all around them. There are some CGI bits done to remove the little prop that, forget his name, Mandalorian rides, and put in the actual animal, Pedro Pascal. But that's the minimal. The backgrounds are actually there. They're not rotoscoping out that. The video that I played is not reprojection, because why would they go to the just horrific expense of that? I mean, to be quite honest, if I wanted to really make people wonder and think and send them in another direction, I would close off every window, bring in the harshest lighting I could, light the room so badly that it looks like a green screen, and then just record. I'm telling you, just with my limited 35-odd years of being around photographers and loving it as much as I do, I could light a room to make it look like it's green screen and fool everybody that watched it. And I have enough friends that I could get them to compile a green screen video so so well that you wouldn't be able to tell it's green screen. These are people who are much more motivated than simple video creators. That's really all there is. President Trump does not drink. He does not smoke. Probably eats a bit more fast food than he should. But I can tell you, for the past 2.5, almost 4 years, Chef Andre and his team at the White House have fed the president very well. And they're not using the meat that McDonald's uses. They're not putting out Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell. Yes, I'm sure the president gets a quarter pounder of cheese while he's out now and again. But the White House staff does not use unhealthy ingredients in what they feed the White House. The White House physicians are among the best in the country. I can guarantee they were already working with President Trump, the First Lady, the First Family, the senators and congressmen who spend time with them, and those people's doctors, and everyone else, before any of this insanity started. So 21 January 2017, they were already planning for a cold, flu season, anything else, so that if anything happens, they're ready. It's the same way the ER has a crash cart with epinephrine, with needles, with scissors, with knives, with everything. It's got a defibrillator on it. They prep that cart for every possible scenario they can even begin to fathom, so that when that person comes in with whatever malady they have, they're ready. I can guarantee you the medical staff around the president, vice president, everyone else in government, all the doctors who see senators and congressmen, they were doing the same. They're telling them, you need to be on this supplement or this vitamin or whatever. So, my advice during all this, stop digging. Now, I'm going to tell you to unfollow people who do the drops on Twitter. I follow some of them. But don't dig too deep. You're just going to give yourself a headache. You don't have to ignore it, but understand that there are several possibilities when it comes to these drops. Possibility one, it truly is someone highly placed in the government. If that's true, they're dropping things to misdirect the entire planet. And the best way to do that is to have little tiny hints of truth that are inconsequential. Option two is somebody faking the whole thing, and they're trolling the planet. Option three, it is so many different people that you're never going to get a cohesive, coherent statement out of it. So I'm not going to tell you not to follow it, not to look at it, not to think about it. Just don't overthink it. Watch for any news to happen. You're not going to get that from anybody in the mainstream media. You're probably going to get it twisted so horribly by a Chris Wallace or a Fredo Cuomo or a Salazar or a Costa that you'll never even know what the actual story was. Honestly, I listen to talk radio, AM talk radio. The people they hire to read the news blurbs, on the 5 and 35 or whatever it is, they are normally pretty fresh to the industry. They don't have an axe to grind like the 30-year veterans do. Their job is to sit and read. This happened at this time, at this place, this person was involved, more coming as soon as we have it. It's the old, police blotter. It's where I get 99.9 to the nth degree % of my news. The rest I get from observing things around me. Don't be lazy. Situational awareness is always needed. We've seen that with Minneapolis, St. Paul, Kenosha, Seattle, Portland, Chicago, New York. Know who's around you. Know what's going on around you. Know what is going on in your town. Know when to stay home. I don't have that choice right now. My internet provider, being as horrible as it was, means I'm working from home. Or not working from home, I'm working from the office. So I have to get up 5 days a week, go to my office, and then I have to go back to my house. Now, I have a 30-minute lunch. I don't like spending money on things that aren't going to last. I do like good food, but I love to cook. So I have done probably 400% more cooking than I did before all this started. Before all this, I ate fast food probably 4 days a week. And it was a can of soup the fifth. Now, I don't think I've had food that I didn't prepare for lunch or dinner more than maybe 5 times in the last 7 months. Saving money, and I'm eating better. I don't leave my office until my shift is over. And when I do, I'm not paranoid. I'm not always looking over my shoulder. But it's little things. When you approach a glass door, you can see what's behind you. Just be aware of your surroundings. And be careful. Because if all of this hubbub turns out to be true, the world's about to get knocked off its axis. And no matter how it ends up, that's not a good thing to go through while it's happening. Let me know what you think. As always, be civil. We're not here to scream and yell like toddlers and insult each other and argue. We're here to discuss, dissent, and debate. As civil, logical adults, please do so. Please remember to like the video to affect the algorithm, to share the video to widen the conversation, to subscribe so you're part of the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers, and to turn on notifications so that videos that are off of my normal Wednesday 10 a.m. schedule, like this one, you'll be aware of when they drop. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day.